the RNC says Trump can win without reaching 1237. Federal tax revenues hit an all-time record, but the federal government is still running a $461 billion deficit. And connecting the dots, 9/11, the Saudis, the Bushes, and Ted and Heidi CRUZ. My name is Howard Riell, and this is Real Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com, and on Facebook and YouTube and Tumblr, and in the book, Real Truth, Stay Angry. Of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. Our call-in number is 877-254-7524. My friends, let's get right to it. Item from the Washington Examiner, Republican National Committee member Randy Evans said on Wednesday, that's today, that Donald Trump would likely be able to secure the Republican nomination if he captures anything more than 1,100 delegates, short of the 1,237 delegates needed for a simple majority. Quote, if Donald Trump exceeds 1,100 votes, he will become the nominee even though he may not have 1,237, Evans said on MSNBC's Morning Joe. Evans' comment is good news for Trump if it's a sentiment shared by other RNC members, since Trump is at risk of falling short of a majority of delegates by the time of the convention in July. But Evans also warned if Trump slips much more, the nomination would likely fall to someone else. If he gets less than 1,000 delegates, and I think we're looking at a contested convention that could go on for many, many days, Evans said. And then in the middle, there's that gray area between 1,000 and 1,100, and that's where the unbound delegates or the delegates that have been released by other candidates come into play to see if there are enough of those to get either CRUZ or Trump over the finish line, he added. As of this week, Trump leads CRUZ in the delegate race 743 to 545, but he's expected to pick up most of New York's delegates next week and has polled well in other states whose primaries are approaching. Unquote. My friends, large grain of salt is what you need whenever anybody from either of the political parties starts giving you what they say are facts. Don't believe it. The Republican National Convention, National Conference, National Committee, I should say, is going to do everything in its considerable power. Now, keep in mind, this organization is comprised of politicians and lawyers. If there are two sneakier groups of people in this solar system, you're going to have to call in and tell me. Politicians and lawyers are doing everything they can. They're fighting for their lives because Trump cannot be bought. And that's really the crux of it. It's not that he's not presidential. It's not that he's surly. It's not that he's this or that. That's just what they're telling the media to serve up to the American people, the gullible, innocent American people. Has nothing to do with presidential or surly or anything like that. It has to do with control. Trump is not owned by the special interests, and so he won't do what the special interests want. Well, that's bad if you're part of the establishment. And that's why they're doing everything in their power to oppose Donald Trump. Item from InfoWars. On Saturday, Ted Cruz supporters took all 13 of the delegates up for grabs at the Colorado GOP convention to complete a clean sweep of the state. But it was not without controversy. There never was a vote. Party elites decided on who got the delegates. The anti-Trump politicians were passing around a resolution to forbid Colorado delegates from voting for Trump for weeks before the convention. Unquote. My friends, I think I covered this pretty well the last couple of days. To my listeners in Colorado, I hope that you are raining pure hell on the Republican Party by phone, by email. I hope you're texting. I hope you're going on Facebook and other social media. The fix is indeed in, and I'm going to be playing a video for you in a few minutes of Donald Trump telling his supporters in Rome, New York, exactly that. Item from the Free Beacon. Inflation-adjusted federal tax revenues hit a record $1.48 trillion for the first half of fiscal year 2016. But the federal government still ran a $461 billion deficit during that time, according to the latest monthly department statement, Treasury Department, unquote. So, my friends, I'm pointing the accusing finger of blame at two parties. One, The politicians who spend like idiots because by saying yes to voters, yes, here's money, they assure that they will get reelected to protect their phony baloney jobs and their network jobs and their connected jobs, which lead to jobs as lobbyists and consultants and everything. So they'll give away the store because, after all, it's not their money they're giving away. It's our money. And if they can buy votes, either directly or indirectly, they will and they do. The other finger of blame points to you, the voters. You're only too glad to give away your support and your votes to the whore politicians who promise you everything and never say no. Well, that's a good strategy when you're about, 3, maybe 4 years old. Once you get past 3 or 4, you've got to begin to realize that you can't have everything that you want, nor should you. And when politicians promise it to you, those are the politicians you should run from, not support. Item from the Daily Caller: male executives at the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton Foundation earn 38% more than women executives, according to a Daily Caller News Foundation review of the foundation's latest IRS tax filings. The foundation's 2013 IRS Form 990 reveals that nearly 3 times as many men as women occupy the executive suites of the Little Rock, Arkansas-based foundation. On average, top male executives at the foundation earn $109,000 more than the top female executives with positions in the C-suite. Unquote. My friends, I'll avoid the obvious joke about Bill Clinton and women in positions in the C-suite. What I'll say is this: Hillary Clinton lies. She lies always. She presents herself as a champion of women. We know she laughingly defended a rapist she knew was guilty. We know that she went after, like an attack dog, the women who were allegedly molested by her husband. And here's her own foundation paying women 38% less than paying men. So Hillary, come clean, fess up, stop lying. Of course, this would necessitate your leaving politics. Because if you aren't permitted to lie, if you aren't allowed and able to lie, you couldn't get 3 votes from the American people. My friends, it's Wednesday. It's Real Truth. And I've got a boatload of that for you coming up after this break. Stick around.
We all know that our government is out of control. What are the points of people in it? How can we, the people, bring it back to the people's servants, not the people's masters? Liberty Forum and the Freedom Rider says officials in government must be made accountable for their actions. AccountabilityRevolution.com is the place to go to learn how you can actually make that happen. Become their judges, not their slaves.
But isn't that amazing? I said, give me a little information on the area. I know the area well. I thought you were doing better than that.
This message from Fort Collins Radiator Job, 417 Jefferson Street in Fort Collins, serving the community for over 47 years. For all your radiator repairs, call 970-482-6783. On the air for our children.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 6. United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
guys, welcome back. You know, when I wake up in the morning, I get a cup of coffee, I turn on the TV, I go to Fox News to find out what's going on in the world. This morning they brought on some pasty-faced, punk-ass young reporter from some magazine. And the host said, Donald Trump is alleging that some of the election process might not be on the up and up. Could that be true? And this reporter, who looks like a chump, and clearly has kissed the right butts to get where he is, says, of course it's not true. Of course it's not. Well, my friends, unless they've repealed the fact that 2 + 2 = 4, there are certain things in this world that are certain. One of them is that elections are rigged by the power establishment to favor the power establishment. Everybody knows this except that punk who's being interviewed on Fox News. One of the people who knows this all too well, Donald Trump, candidate for president. Here he is just yesterday speaking in Rome, New York about how the system is rigged. Let's listen.
So here's the story. I was just talking to some of the very talented reporters backstage. And, you know, the system, folks, is rigged. System. Now, you have to understand, I'm not complaining about the states that I won. Those are okay. Of which I won, I think, 22, and CRUZ won 10. Did you ever hear him say, I'm the only one? Remember, Lion Ted Cruz, Lion Ted, has the Bible up here. Puts it down. He is a liar. Oh, boy, does he lie. But the system's rigged. And I'll tell you what, when you look at Colorado, and people can say, oh, well, that's the way the game's played. Look, they should have had an election. They didn't have an election. That system is set up so that the crooked politicians can make sure they get somebody in that's not, you know, part of what we're doing. This is a movement, folks. I'm self-funding my campaign. They hate it. They hate it. They don't want me to self-fund my campaign. They don't want it because, you know what? They're all controlled by their special interests. They're all controlled by their lobbyists 100%. So when it comes time to making trade deals, military deals, any deals, the lobbyist goes, sees him, you can't do this. This guy gave you $1 million. This guy gave you $10 million. This group or this country gave you $5 million. You can't do it. And they said, okay, I won't do it. With me, they didn't give me anything, folks. Okay? I'm working for you. I'm working for you. So, our Republican system is absolutely rigged. It's a phony deal. Now, what do I know? I started running like 9 months ago. Who would have thought I would have been in first place? What do I know? Right? What do I know? But I'm in first place by a lot. Millions and millions of votes. That doesn't count. You notice? Nobody even talks about votes. I have millions of votes more, but I also have hundreds of delegates more, but that's not the same thing to me. I think the vote is the thing that you count, right? The vote. And you look at some of these systems where the people that devised them, and this had to do with Ron Paul, it had to do with a whole, they wanted to keep people out. This was a dirty trick. These are dirty tricksters. This is a dirty trick, and I'll tell you what, the RNC, the Republican National Committee, they should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this kind of crap to happen. I can tell you that. They should be ashamed of themselves. Because it has nothing to do with democracy. They took the votes away from the people in Colorado. People are burning up their Republican cards because they want to vote. And you got to see what's happening out there. It's actually a thing of beauty if you want to know the truth, because they're not going to take it. And it may be shoved down their face, and who knows. But you know what? They're fighting, and they're all over the place, and they're angry. Their votes have been taken away. We've already been disenfranchised because you look at what's going on. Because if you think about it, the economy is rigged, the banking system is rigged. There's a lot of things that are rigged in this world of ours. And that's why a lot of you haven't had an effective wage increase in 20 years, folks. And we're going to change it. We're going to change it. We're going to change it fast. So, I'm no fan of Bernie Sanders, right? Believe me. Although we do have one thing in common. What's the one thing? We actually do. Trade. He knows we're being ripped off, and I know we're being ripped off. We're being ripped off bigly. The difference is I'll make unbelievable deals, and he doesn't know what to do. He just knows we're being ripped off. But Bernie Sanders, I will say this. For the last 5 weeks, you turn on your television. Sanders wins. Sanders wins. Again, Sanders wins. Like 7 or 8 or 9, he keeps winning. And then you listen to the people and the pundits, and they say he has no chance of winning. I said, what's going on? Because you have super delegates. By the way, I think the Republicans have a worse system than the Democrats, but they have super delegates. It makes it impossible for a guy that wins to win. It's a crooked system, folks. It's a crooked system. It really is a crooked system. You know, again, I don't care who wins over there. I'll take on either one of them. I sort of had my heart set on Hillary, to be honest with you. And her whole life, remember this, her whole life has been one big lie. It's been one big lie. And you go back and you look at Whitewater, and you look at her cattle deal. Remember the cattle deal? She made the highest percentage practically in the history of cattle making. I wonder why that happened, folks. But you take a look, and now you look at this horrible scandal with emails where she's probably being protected. Probably being protected. Because people that did 5% of what she did have had their lives destroyed, and her life is just fine. It looks like she'll be the candidate. And in a certain way, that's really the one I want to run against. We will beat her so badly. We'll beat her badly. You know, when Ronald Reagan, I mean, I've had some nice polls, but when don't forget, I have 17 people coming at me, and they said, please, darling, my wife, and my daughter Ivanka, Daddy, please be more presidential. I said, wait a minute. I got 17 people throwing bombs at me. I got to take them out before I become presidential, don't I?
Yes, he does. And he took them all out except for 2, and he's going to take them out. You know, Donald Trump just unloaded a lot of truth there. He spoke a lot of truth. The system, the political system is rigged. The economy is rigged. It is rigged. We've known this for a very long time. More and more people are waking up to that fact now. Another major parcel of truth he delivered is saying that Hillary Clinton's whole life has been a lie. And it has been. She's never achieved anything on her own. She's had scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal. She works against the best interests of women, even though she presents herself as a women's champion. She's not at all the grandmotherly figure primping and smiling for the cameras and the rubes. She is a disaster. She is the quintessential politician, which means she's a political whore. She'll say anything and everything to get elected. She will lie fluently and continuously, and Trump got that right. And I hope that he does run against her, because he will whip her ass so thoroughly, so completely, embarrass and humiliate her so totally in public that she will sneak into a corner and hide there. Her husband and her daughter will no longer come out of the corner. They'll stay behind closed doors. And the best of all, the cherry on the icing, the pièce de résistance, will be that when Trump becomes president, he will prosecute Hillary Clinton and see to it that a fair, unbiased, non-political Justice Department looks into all of the various scandals, including the emails. And Hillary will learn that orange is the new black. Item. From Ross Story, former Democratic senator who investigated the 9/11 terrorist attack, says he believes the hijackers had support from within the U.S. to carry out their deadly plot. Bob Graham, chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and co-chair of the bipartisan Joint Congressional Inquiry into the attacks, said the investigation revealed wealthy Saudi Arabian individuals and charity networks aided the terrorists, reported 60 Minutes. Stop. Think. Remember back to when George W. Bush and his father, George H.W. Bush, remember when they were in office in the White House? They were always close with the Saudis. Dating back before either of their presidencies, they had multiple business dealings with the Saudis. They walk hand in hand, literally, with the Saudi princes. They are connected in God knows what kind of dirty dealings. They are, you heard about politics making strange bedfellows? The Bushes and the Saudis are thick as thieves. Well, the reason that's appropriate to talk about now is that Ted Cruz and his wife HEIDI both came up through the ranks as part of the Bush machine, the Bush crime family. HEIDI, who is now a managing director of Goldman Sachs, the biggest of the banksters, the slimiest and sleaziest of the banksters, she's a managing director. She also belongs to the Council on Foreign Relations, which is a group of powerful, wealthy elites whose main occupation, basically when you cut through all the yah-yah, is to screw you and me and take what we produce away from us. So HEIDI Cruz is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, managing director of the chief bankster, Goldman Sachs, and she and her husband, lying, Wyan Ted Cruz, both came up through the ranks of the Bush administration over there in Texas. Ted Cruz is a Trojan horse candidate because he is the establishment masquerading as an outsider. He's no outsider. He's part of the Bush crime unit. And through his wife, he's connected to the very heart and core of the establishment. The CFR, Goldman Sachs, it doesn't get any more establishment than that, and Ted Cruz is connected to them beyond all disconnecting, no matter what he says in public. So when Donald Trump talks about everything being rigged, he's not kidding. Even the quote-unquote outsider, Ted Cruz, isn't really an outsider. He's posing as one. That's why I say, and I've been vociferous about this, the only real outsider, the only person who's not owned, who won't be controlled by the special interests, is Donald Trump. And that makes whom to vote for a real simple decision. Item. From Reuters, at least 2/3 of all active U.S. corporations paid nothing in federal income taxes during the 2006 to 2012 period, despite an income-dependent statutory tax rate of 15 to 35%, the Government Accountability Office said in a recent report. Among large profitable entities, 19.5% paid nothing in federal income taxes in 2012, said the report, which came at the behest of Democratic presidential contender Bernie Sanders, whose campaign circulated the study. Profitable corporations, on average, from 2008 to 2012, paid only 14% of their earnings in federal income taxes. There's something profoundly wrong in America when 1 out of 5 profitable corporations pays nothing in federal income taxes, Sanders said in a statement. Now, my friends, I'm as shocked as you are, to hear Howard Riell quoting Bernie Sanders, but I said the other day, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And Sanders, though he's a wingnut, is right. It is an outrage for this many profitable corporations to be paying nothing in taxes. I'll say it again. Nothing in taxes. So they're taking from the American people and sliming their way out of giving back to the American people. Go online, find out who those corporations are, and decide that you will never, ever, ever do business with them again. We'll be back.
Howdy, folks. Have you ever thought about having your own backyard chickens? Now you have a source for certified organic, no GMO, no soy chicken feed. HappyHens.biz can even deliver, or you can pick up. Call me, Tim,
at 303-829-5948 or go to happyhens.biz for pricing and ingredients. At happyhens.biz, we love happyhens.biz or call us at 303-829-5948. Rehabilitation and Nursing Center of the Rockies reminds everyone the chance of involvement in an auto accident rises dramatically with the consumption of alcohol or use of drugs. Please think before you drive. Don't let drugs or alcohol ruin your life or take the lives of others. You are responsible for your own safety as well as the safety of those around you. This message from Rehabilitation and Nursing Center of the Rockies. For information on their services, call 970-484-7981.
Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant in power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom-tailored capabilities as modest emergency lighting all the way to commercial-scale power. Great Plains Power is a full-service company. We service everything we sell.
Look, there was a media uproar last week. He has a problem with the First Amendment, quite obviously, and this wild punch at either me or Matt Drudge is senseless. Look.
PlainsSolar.com. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 10 through 13. Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
My friends, I am back. Howard Riell. The show is called Real Truth. Now, here's a colleague of mine on InfoWars, Alex Jones. He's got Roger Stone, advisor to Donald Trump, political insider for decades, talking about the plan to stop the GOP gangsters from stealing this election from the American people. Here we go.
There was a media uproar last week when I suggested that Trump supporters visit the hotels of delegates. Let me be a little more specific. From the beginning, the problem here has been one of Trojan delegates, Trojan horse delegates. These Trojan horse delegates are very specifically holding seats in delegate positions who are elected to Donald Trump but not loyal to Trump. The party machines are seeking to insert these hacks, these loyalists, into delegations, which gives them a majority on the question of rules, credentials, and platform, all of which must come before the first ballot for president. So even if Donald Trump has 1,237 votes, which under the capable leadership of Paul Manafort and the incredible talents as a candidate and a communicator of Donald Trump, I think they will have. The establishment plans to steal this anyway. It is these Trojan horse delegates who will be central to the steal. What I suggest, quite frankly, is that each one of them be required to sign a loyalty pledge. It's voluntary, of course, agreeing to stick with Donald Trump, the choice of the voters who elected that delegate.
They should pledge to stand with the popular vote or move to North Korea.
Correct. Now, you're not forced to sign, but if you won't sign, it will identify for the media who the Quislings are.
That's right. If you're going to steal an election in America and cancel America, you better put your John Hancock on it.
Right. So it exposes the bosses who are subverting the democratic process. Donald Trump is winning these primaries big. This just in. He won Arkansas. Now there is a Cruz-Rubio alliance planning to block Donald Trump in Arkansas from getting his rightful majority. We've seen the strong-arm tactics that were utilized in Colorado. We have seen a rare victory where Donald Trump and the forces loyal to John Kasich teamed together to block Ted Cruz out in Michigan. So two can play this game, and I expect it's going to be hard fought right to the end. We are going to march on Cleveland. Delegations, we're going to ask every Trump delegate to sign the voluntary pledge. Are you with the voters or are you with the bosses? It's only elementary that Trump delegates should vote for Donald Trump and not against his interests.
Let me stop you right there. Paul Manafort, your long-time partner that now basically, according to Politico, runs the campaign. I know you don't want to, brag about it, but hopefully saving the campaign, came out, as you know, on Meet the Press and said, look, they're breaking the rules. They've gone too far. We're going to file complaints. Look, it's one thing if there's a close election, because I've looked at the rules, and then there's a brokered situation. But it's another thing when you just cancel elections altogether and then just have the party insiders tell you that Cruz won everything. For me, we need to get out and educate the public that why do we get rid of Jim Crow and poll taxes? I mean, we have election laws for popular votes. There's public interest here. It's racketeering for the party to say, now popular votes don't count. This is unprecedented, and I think that Trump should press this. The problem is, watching mainstream TV, they won't show the full clip. They just show Trump saying, it's rigged, and then make a joke and say, well, he's just mad he didn't win Colorado, and they don't even tell people now in some of these shows. I know you don't want to bash Fox because you're on there some, but I was watching Fox this morning. They wouldn't even say that there was no vote. So they've reached a new level, and that's the talking point from Cruz, is he's running around saying, it's a democracy. I have the clip played last hour. I won Colorado, and Drudge won't report that I won Colorado. What? He reported you stole it. So from your expert understanding, and of course, Paul's understanding of this, and he hinted at this on national television, is this not illegal, what's going on, or is this not a violation of the quote rules to just cancel things?
Well, first of all, let me make very, very clear yet again that I have no formal nor informal role in the Donald Trump campaign. Paul Manafort is his own man. He's a skilled professional. I'm proud to say that we're partners for 15 years. I would point out that my other partner, who I hold in very high regard, Charlie Black, very skilled operative, as shrewd as they come, now working for John Kasich, which is his constitutional right. He's not to be underestimated. He's a very clever guy who knows the rules. But I want to be very clear that Paul Manafort works for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump runs Donald Trump's campaign. I, Alex, am going to be outside the convention hall with you, with some bullhorns, and hopefully with thousands at the Stop the Steal march and rally. Now, this is, to be very clear, a non-violent, peaceful protest. I was in the 1968 campaign for Richard Nixon. I understand that violence in Cleveland of any kind would be detrimental to Donald Trump's capability to win.
You shouldn't have proviso this. You never said this. They're running fake headlines. How do we counter them lying? Everybody must come to Cleveland. Everybody must go to Denver this Friday to protest the RNC as well, the big steal.
Yeah, so when they say, why do you want to visit the hotel rooms of delegates, it's very simple. I want them to sign the pledge. I respect if they don't want to sign the pledge. That's their right. But the voters elected them to vote for Donald Trump. That's our democracy. So if the bosses have put them into a Trump seat, Texas, for example, where the delegation does not include a single actual Trump supporter, not one, because George P. Bush and Rick Perry and Ted Cruz have ganged up to ensure that they control the Texas delegation on questions of rules and credentials. that's where the big steal will take place.
My friends, make no mistake about it, the big steal will take place, just as Roger Stone says. It will take place. Whether or not it will be successful, I don't know. But know this, okay? Know this for certain. This is not an attempt to steal only from Donald Trump. This is not an attempt to stop Donald Trump. This is an attempt to steal from you and from me and from all the American people. It's an attempt to stop the American people from utilizing the democracy that we've fought for and earned over these 2+ centuries. Make no mistake about this. It's not the establishment versus Donald Trump. It's the establishment versus Donald Trump and us. And us. It's our right that the establishment wants to negate, to take away. It's our right that they're ignoring, that they're stealing. That's us. We are losers. We lose our union. We lose the very essence of America if we let the fat cat politicians and lawyers and banksters take this away from us. I cannot underestimate this. Everything is at stake in this election. Not just the White House, but the soul of America, the democracy of America, the power of each and every American citizen is at stake in this coming election. We'll be right back. Yeah, I got a little mixed up with over and underestimate. That's what happens when you wing it, because I'm not reading, and I never read from a prepared text. All right, guys, we're done. I'll be back tomorrow. Please share this. Do look up those companies who paid no taxes and avoid at all costs doing business with them, because they are no friends of America or Americans, just as the oligarchs in the Republican National Committee and the Democrat National Committee, they are no friends of Americans. They are friends of themselves and nobody else. I'll see you tomorrow. Go to my Facebook page, Real Truth Radio. Hasta luego.